Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Welcome to Top 5 from The Ray Taylor Show, where each week I rank movies in a variety of categories, from franchise and subgenre to directors and actors. No film is left unwatched as I break down my top 5 picks. So join me every Sunday for new episodes and get ready to dive into the world of film with Top 5 from The Ray Taylor Show. In this episode, I am ranking my top 5 Damien Leone movies, which is all of his movies. I mean, technically, I'm talking about his feature-length movies. I'm talking about his short films, which in total technically is 6 films altogether that he's directed. Of course, 2 of his short films were also part of an anthology film, so I'm ranking all of those as separate entities, even though technically 2 of those are within one of those. But I wanted to rank his movies. I wanted an excuse to watch the Frankenstein versus the Mummy, which I reviewed on Wednesday's episode this past week of my movie and TV show review podcast. So I've watched all of his movies as a director, and I wanted to break them down because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of his. A new fan of his after having seen all of his movies. Damien Leone is an American filmmaker and director, best known for his work in the horror genre. All of his films are in the horror genre, specifically the Terrifier franchise with Art the Clown. Leone began his career as a filmmaker in the early 2000s, creating short horror films and music videos. He gained attention for his short film The Ninth Circle, which he made in 2008 and later expanded into a full-length feature film called Terrifier in 2016. Terrifier tells the story of a homicidal clown named Art who terrorizes a group of friends on Halloween night. The film received critical acclaim for its gore effects and performance of David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. The success of Terrifier led to the sequel, Terrifier 2, which was released in 2001. And those were the first 2 movies of his that I saw. Started with Terrifier, then watched Terrifier 2, then went back to watch All Hallows Eve, which was the anthology film that included The Ninth Circle as well as the short film version of Terrifier. And then I finished off watching his movies with Frankenstein versus the Mummy. He is known for his love of practical effects and his dedication to creating a sense of suspense and terror in his films. Overall, Damien Leone has established himself as a prominent figure in the modern horror genre, and his work continues to thrill and terrify audiences. And that is why I am here to rank my top 5 films directed by Damien Leone. Also somebody who has a background in special effects, practical effects. He's worked on many films that were not the ones he directed. However, it is clear in watching his films that he did direct that not only is that his background, but it is clear that that is the main focus for many of his films. The practical effects, the kill scenes, and so on. So I appreciate that, because those are definitely the best aspects of his movies. So let's get it started with number 5, my 5th favorite Damien Leone film. This is the one film that probably has the least to do with all of his films. It's also the most recent of his films that I have watched, reviewed it earlier, I mentioned in the week, and that is coming at number 5, Frankenstein versus the Mummy. Frankenstein versus the Mummy, horror film, came out in 2015. The film centers on a battle between 2 classic horror monsters, Frankenstein's monster and, of course, the Mummy. The story takes place in a university. The Mummy is depicted as an ancient Egyptian warrior who is seeking revenge on those who desecrated his tomb. The Frankenstein's monster is a certain is a creation of the mad scientist, obviously Frankenstein, who wants to be a god, wants to create life and challenge death. The film features a cast of relatively unknown actors, including Max Reiser as the Mummy and Ashton Leigh as the lead protagonist. The movie received mixed reviews from critics, with some praising its old school horror feel and practical effects, while others criticizing its slow pace and lack of originality. The film was shot on a relatively low budget and relied heavily on practical effects, including prosthetics and makeup. The movie has been compared to classic horror films from the 50s and 60s, such as Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and The Mummy's Curse. Despite the mixed reception, Frankenstein versus the Mummy has gained a cult following among horror fans who appreciate his throwback style and emphasis on practical effects. It is not a very great story, but I did like the practical effects, so that is why it is here on the list as being a movie that at least showcases his ability to do practical effects, and also showcases those effects in a way that is different from all of the other movies that are centered around the Art the Clown character. So for its differences, yet still showing his abilities with practical effects. That is why coming here at number 5 is Frankenstein versus the Mummy. Moving on to my 4th favorite film from Damien Leone. This is a movie that I think highlights a significant change in his featured character that is featured in all of the majority of his films. It marked a change in the way this character looked. It also marked a change in Leone's ability to get better with each film that he does. And for those reasons, it is here at number 4. It is the short film Terrifier. So not the feature-length film Terrifier, which came out later in 2016, I believe. This came out in 2011. Short horror film directed by Damien Leone. The film centers on a creepy clown named Art, who terrorizes a young woman on Halloween night. The short was found on YouTube by the producer Jesse Baggett, prompting him to consider including it in an anthology film with shorts from other filmmakers. That anthology film is known as All Hallows Eve. However, Damien Leone convinced the producer of All Hallows Eve to allow him to write and direct all of the short films, as well as the overarching wrapping of the story. But that is not the movie I'm talking about. I'm just talking about this specific short film, not All Hallows Eve as a whole, which could be part of this list somewhere else. The character of Art the Clown was originally created by Leone for a different short film called The Ninth Circle, which is also part of that anthology series. It is the first short film in the series of All Hallows Eve. David Howard Thornton plays the role of Art the Clown, using mime and physical acting to create a creepy and unsettling performance. One of the key features of Art the Clown is his mime performances, which I think gets better in every film. The film features minimal dialogue and relies on suspense and tension to create scares. Terrifier gained a cult following among horror fans for its effective scares and memorable villain. The success of the short led to Leone expanding it into a full-length feature film, also called Terrifier, which was released in 2016, which is a completely different movie, aside from Art the Clown being in it. This also was the first film we see Art the Clown with the look that we know him as, with the exaggerated facial features, the small dot on his nose, of course his trash bag of weapons and all those things, his silent laugh, all of those aspects are present, but definitely his look changed from The Ninth Circle being the first time we see Art the Clown to Terrifier, the short film, being the second time we see him. There is a big change, and then throughout the rest of the Terrifier franchise, it is the same look that we see in this Terrifier short film. And it is the most polished of the two short films, in addition to also being the better version of Art the Clown. And the story is interesting. It's a woman who's a costume designer who pulls off to get some gas. She's driving kind of out in the middle of nowhere, not a whole lot of gas stations, so she needs to fill up. And at this gas station, she is terrified and haunted and dealing with this Art the Clown guy who kills everybody that comes in across his path, which is kind of his signature thing in all of the movies. If somebody crosses paths with Art the Clown, they will most likely die. If you are a woman, he will most likely stalk you. And it's very terrifying and very scary. And this one, out of the two short films, I think is my favorite. And that's why this one is coming in here. At number 4 is Terrifier, the short film. Let's take a quick break from this episode because I want to talk about, are you looking to add some unique and expressive artwork to your home, office, or wardrobe? Look no further than the Many Faces series by Ray Taylor. That's me. These abstract paintings on paper explore the endless possibilities of the human face, capturing unique expressions of emotion, mood, tone, and energy in just a few minimal features. Now you can bring these stunning and thought-provoking pieces into your own space with high-quality prints and t-shirts featuring designs from the Many Faces series. Or take home a one-of-a-kind original piece for your collection. Don't miss out on this opportunity to add some original and expressive artwork to your home, office, or wardrobe. Head on over to InspiredDisorder.com to browse and purchase original artworks, prints, and t-shirts from the Many Faces series today. And now, back to the show. Moving on to my third favorite Damien Leone film. This one it was kind of tough to have to separate and parse out because he has only done 4 full-length features and 2 short films, and having to include those short films that are also in one of the theatrical films, it's hard to separate those two, but I attempt to do that with this number 3, my third favorite Damien Leone film, which is the anthology film All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve is a horror anthology film directed by Damien Leone. It came out in 2013. The film consists of 3 interconnected horror shorts with a wraparound story featuring a babysitter and 2 young children. The wraparound story centers on a babysitter who discovers a VHS tape in one of the children's trick-or-treat bags. The first short film on the tape is called The Nice Circle, which is the first short film that Damien Leone made featuring Art the Clown. Features a young woman named Casey who is drugged and kidnapped by Art the Clown and taken to be raped by Satan. The premise of The Ninth Circle. The second short film in the anthology tells the story of a woman who is terrorized by an alien creature in her home while her husband, who is an artist, is away. And so she's home alone, kind of a secluded new area. And one of the paintings the husband, made that he painted in a trance is of Art the Clown, and that is the only connection of Art the Clown in the second short film. The final short film is the Terrifier short film, which I chose for my last pick, and features the character of Art the Clown who goes on a killing spree at a gas station. The entire anthology film, however, features a cast of relatively unknown actors, which is common in a lot of these films, including Katie McGuire as the babysitter and Mike Gianelli as Art the Clown. All Hallows Eve received mixed reviews from critics, with some praising the effective scares and memorable villain, while others criticizing its low budget, production values, and lack of originality. What are you going to do? The success of the short, however, from Terrifier, the short film Terrifier on the VHS tape within the movie led the director expanding it again into the 2016 film franchise. All Hallows Eve gained a cult following among horror fans for its effective use of Halloween themes and its interconnected storylines. The added wraparound story that combines these short films was great on its own and is exactly why All Hallows Eve is coming in here at number 3. Not only does it have the origins of Art the Clown, including the Ninth Circle, it has you can see the massive change going from the Ninth Circle to Terrifier, the last short film in this anthology series, but also the wraparound story features Art the Clown in a very scary and terrifying way with kills of its own. So this not only combines the 2 short films, which I like, but also the wraparound story is very creative and great as well. So that is why it is here at number 3, All Hallows Eve. Moving on to my second favorite Damien Leone film. This is the first of his films that I watched. This is one that, despite the lack of story, I understood what he was going for. I understood that his focus was on the practical effects and was on the gory kills and not so much on the story. But because of the practical effects, which I love, I absolutely love his practical effects. I love practical effects in general. I prefer practical effects to digital. It is sad to see how the digital effects have really ruined a lot of film and really taken out the great aspects that practical effects bring to a film, especially a low budget film, even big budget films. It's insane that more practical effects, especially in horror films. So coming in at number 2 is Terrifier, the feature-length film Terrifier, the first feature-length film that features Art the Clown. This came out in 2016. The film is based on the character Art the Clown, who first appeared in The Ninth Circle in 2008. The movie follows Art the Clown as he terrorizes a group of young women on Halloween night, as all of the Terrifier movies are Halloween-based movies. The film features David Howard Thornton as the role of Art the Clown, who uses mime and physical acting to create a creepy and unsettling performance. The plot of the movie centers on a group of people who become trapped in a rundown building with Art the Clown, and like I said, anybody that crosses path, they don't end well. Terrifier is known for its graphic violence and gore, with several scenes depicting brutal and shocking deaths. There is a scene where a woman is hung upside down, mostly naked, and sawed in half, to give an example of one of the brutal and graphic kills that is in this movie. And one of the reasons why I was like, this guy goes hard. I want to see this. I want to see more of his stuff. The movie features a minimalistic plot, if any, and relies on suspense and tension to create scares. The film was shot on a low budget, as most of these were, and features practical effects, as they all do, including prosthetics and makeup, as they all do, to create its gruesome scenes. Terrifier gained a cult following among horror fans for its effective use of the slasher genre and memorable villain. The success of Terrifier 1 led to the sequel, Terrifier 2, which was released in 2021 and features Art the Clown going on a killing spree in a small town. The film has been praised by horror fans for its throwback style and its emphasis on practical effects, harkening back to the classic horror films of the 80s and 90s that had your horror villains, your Freddy Kruegers, your Michael Myers, your Jason Voorhees, right? And in my opinion, Art the Clown, possibly one of the best, if not the best, of that group. The movie clearly cared more about practical, gory effects, far more than story, which is okay. It's fine. Horror movies, you can get away with a lot. Skinamarink is a very crazy art house type of a horror film that has very little to know of a lot of things, but in my opinion, very effective. So I think the horror genre is able to be effective in what it's trying to, the emotions it's trying to elicit without a story. However, I do appreciate the story. So it was kind of a bummer that there was no story in this. The movie has a little to no story, as I said, but still epic kills. The epic kills and practical effects is what hooked me. And this being the first film I watched from Damien Leone is the reason why I'm doing this list. Is the reason why I watched all of the films that he directed. So that is why coming here at number two is Terrifier, the full-length feature film. Let's take a quick break right now to talk about, are you a fan of original artwork and live events? Look no further than the Many Faces series by Ray Taylor and the weekly live stream over at youtube.com/inspired disorder. This ongoing series explores the endless possibilities of the human face through abstract ink paintings on paper, capturing unique expressions of emotion, mood, tone, and energy in just a few minimal features. Join me every Thursday at 4:20 Pacific Time as I paint live. Follow the Many Faces series and discover the endless possibilities of the human face. Don't miss out on this opportunity to be part of the action and own a piece of original artwork by me, Ray Taylor. Head to youtube.com/inspired disorder every Thursday to catch the live stream, and visit inspireddisorder.com to browse and purchase the Many Faces artwork. And now, let's get back to the show. Moving on to my favorite Damien Leone film. If you can't guess by now, you should know. My favorite Damien Leone film in every aspect is Terrifier 2. It's the best he's done in every category, I would say. Terrifier 2, horror film, obviously, came out in 2022 or 21, came out recently. Sequel to the 2016 film Terrifier, featuring Art the Clown. The film features David Howard Thornton reprising his role as Art the Clown, who goes on a killing spree in a small town. So more characters, more locations, more story. Terrifier 2 is known for its graphic violence and gore, probably one of the most insane kill scenes I have seen in any movie in this movie. Kind of moments in this movie and in the franchise that remind me of Cannibal Holocaust. Like, there is some disturbing imagery in these movies that definitely remind me of that horror film. So graphic violence and gore with several scenes depicting brutal and shocking deaths. A long kill scene in a character's bedroom is one of the greatest horror scenes I have ever seen. So brutal that keeps going on, and it's like, oh my, it's great. Like every time, like it's a scene where you think it's over, and it doesn't. It keeps going. And it does that a few times. And maybe you might think it's a little bit of overkill, but I think it's horrific. And it's horrific in a way where it's like the idea of hell in some ways is this horror scene where it's just never ending, especially for this character, which is just, it's an insane kill scene. The movie features a more elaborate plot compared to all of the other films. I mean, probably the only other film in his filmography that kind of has a plot. I guess All Hallows Eve kind of does. But the Frankenstein versus Mummy is probably the most story that is in any of his films. And then this one being the best of that, I would say. His best use of story. So, features more of an elaborate plot compared to all his other films. And relates to his characters... related to his characters and still relies on suspense and tension to create scares. The film was shot on a low budget and features practical effects including prosthetics, makeup, and puppetry to create its grotesque scenes, puppetry specifically for that bedroom scene, which is just crazy. The very end of that scene is puppetry is involved with that. Terrifier 2 expands on the character of Art the Clown and provides more backstory and context for the character. Not a whole lot, but definitely more than anything else does. The film has been praised for its by its horror fans for its throwback style and emphasis on practical effects, harkening back to the 80s and 90s horror films. Despite some mixed reviews, Terrifier 2 has been successful among horror fans and has continued to build on its cult following of the Terrifier franchise, specifically Art the Clown character. It is by far the best film by Damien Leone has ever made. It is objectively, I would say, the best film he has ever made. By far the most and best kills. By far the best practical effects. By far the best story. Despite the film being a little long, still a great story. By far the best version of Art the Clown. By far the most interesting characters in all of his movies. With each new film Damien has made, shows so much growth in his ability to tell stories and direct films. And I appreciate the improvement that I've seen in his movies. And because of that, I am very excited to see how the follow-ups to this film do. I will love to see them when they come out. This franchise, I hope, keeps going. From what I've read, he already has a story ready to go, or at least a treatment for a story that could easily be split into two. He didn't like the idea of this one being such a long runtime, and the story that he has for the follow-up, he says, could be split into two separate films. So there may be a Terrifier 3 and 4 that will be coming to the public at some time. Would be amazing if he is able to direct them back to back. That would be great. So maybe there's not a long delay between the two. But as a director who does everything himself, not only the writer, not only the director, but also has such a background in the practical effects, everything just keeps coming together. And I think as long as he continues to grow and improve his story writing abilities, and he continues to improve and grow as a director telling these stories, I think that will only highlight his already amazing ability to create such grotesque and epic kill scenes and practical effects. I absolutely love it. Terrifier 1 and 2 are a great 1-2 punch, and the improvements that were made from Terrifier 1, all of the criticisms I had after watching Terrifier 1 were fixed in the best ways in Terrifier 2. And if you want to, you can listen to my reviews of every single one of these movies. I did full-length reviews on, if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a playlist of all of the Damien Leone films along with this top 5. And of course, the honorable mention, the only film that didn't make the list, is the short film The Ninth Circle, which is his first short film, which is the first film that features Art the Clown, which you can is a different look of Art the Clown, which I don't think is as good. The Ninth Circle really felt like more of a showcase for his ability to do character design and the makeup designs for the different characters, because there are a lot of different kinds of monsters in addition to Satan, in addition to Art the Clown. So I can see what he was trying to go for in that one, but because I like all the other ones better, Art the Clown is better in all the other ones, and because Frankenstein vs. the Mummy is more of a story, fleshed out, full-length story, I put it above this one. But honorable mention for sure, which if you see All Hallows Eve, you will watch The Ninth Circle as well as the Terrifier short. So it's a 1-2 punch. Watch All Hallows Eve, watch Terrifier in 2016, and then watch Terrifier 2 from 2021, 2022. And you will see the growth, for one, of Art the Clown. You will see the growth of Damien Leone as not only a director, but also a writer, and even his practical effects get improved with each new movie he does. So I'm a huge fan of his. I'm a huge fan of Art the Clown. By far my favorite horror villain. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm not even necessarily a big fan of that genre of horror films, the kind of 80s and 90s like horror monster villain kind of a guy. But Art the Clown changed my mind. Like, it is the best. It is my favorite. By far my favorite. And I'm not even like particularly like the clown thing. There's a lot of people that are scared of clowns. I'm not scared of clowns. Like, it doesn't scare me because he's a clown. Art the Clown scares me, especially because he's like a mime version of a clown. When you see this demented clown laugh without making a sound, and his excitement at showing somebody his like a disembodied head or like a mutilated body, like it is terrifying. And there's a great cameo of Art the Clown in the Peacock series Bupkis. In the final episode, I believe it's the final episode of Bupkis, there is a cameo scene with Art the Clown while Pete Davidson is at a group therapy session, which a fun little Easter egg. If you are an Art the Clown completist and want to see every single thing that character has been in, I would recommend that. But let me recap my list one more time, and we will get out of here so you can go watch these terrifying, horrifying, gory, traumatic films. This is my top 5 Damien Leone movies. Starting off with number 5 is Frankenstein versus the Mummy. This is my top 5 Damien Leone movies. Starting off with number 5 is Frankenstein versus the Mummy. Number 4 is Terrifier, the short film. Number 3 is All Hallows Eve, the anthology film. Number 2 is Terrifier, the feature-length film. And my favorite Damien Leone movie of all time until he makes another Terrifier movie is, at number 1, Terrifier 2. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Top 5 from The Ray Taylor Show. I hope you enjoyed my rankings and analysis of my top 5 Damien Leone films. Please let me know if you would have a different order for these films. If you've watched all of them, maybe you think The Ninth Circle should be higher up on the list. Let me know. I would love to hear it. And let me know if you've watched the Terrifier movies. I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. And don't bother telling me they don't have a story to them. Watch Terrifier 2. It has a story, but it's clear that he wasn't considering a story when doing the previous films. So you don't have to bother telling me that. I already know that. Anyway, love it. Excited for the franchise of Terrifier. Excited for everything that Damien Leone does, as he's clearly kind of coming into his own as a director as well. And join the conversation by leaving a comment or rating on your favorite podcast platform or over on YouTube if you're watching this episode, youtube.com/inspireddisorder. And don't forget to tune in next Sunday for an all-new episode, and see you again next week for more Top 5. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.